What's up, guys? Welcome to Blue Presents a podcast where I discuss all things music. And today I have a very, very special guest, former WWE Cruiserweight champion Lio Rush. And on today's show, we are talking about his debut album, Ever After, which dropped on Monday. And you guys should definitely listen to it on all streaming platforms, man. And not only do we talk about his new record, talk about his inspirations, we also talk about, dealing with mental health. We also talk about, dealing with what's going on in the world, as well as we talk about some of his wrestling future. So sit back, relax, and enjoy. And remember, if you'd like to be a guest on my show, or you'd like have some show ideas for me, please reach out to me on Twitter at Podcast of Blue, on Facebook and Instagram at Blue Presents a Podcast. Thank you, guys. Sit back, relax, enjoy. What's up, guys? Welcome to Blue Presents a podcast where I discuss all things music and how it affects my life. And today I am joined by the man of the hour, the 25-year-old piece of gold, Lio Rush. How you doing today, sir?
What's going on, my man? I'm doing pretty good. I'm hanging in there.
All right, man. I appreciate you jumping on with me today. So I'll start off with my first question, and it's my first question for everybody who comes on my show. What are your 5 top artists? What are artists that have inspired you in rap music or whatever style of music you enjoy?
Definitely. Yeah. I feel like I like so many different genres and styles and stuff like that. I guess people who inspire me to do music or inspire my style that I do now, I would say let's start it off with Eminem.
Okay.
The Weeknd.
Mm-hmm.
Drake. Maybe Post Malone.
Nothing wrong with that.
The fifth one is always so hard. I'm going to switch it up and say Rage Against the Machine.
Nothing wrong with that, man. Man, that's I like the list, man, especially because there's a varying of styles. Even with your hip hop artists, there are different styles of hip hop artists. So it's not just your cookie cutter type. Okay, I like this, I like that. You can kind of see you like different trends of hip hop, which is awesome.
Definitely.
Hell yeah. So basically, my podcast is just about a journey into music, how you got into music. I mean, I'm sure thousands of people have asked you, how'd you get into wrestling? The question today is, how'd you get into music, man?
Yeah, for sure. I feel like music has been a part of my life ever since I was little. My parents were a gospel duo who actually got nominated for Stellar Awards in the past. And my dad was a music producer, and he had an in-home studio, and my bedroom was right above the studio. So every time he would have a session, which was literally every day, all day, the sessions would vibrate my bed, mm-hmm. and the music would go through my vents and stuff like that. And I always toured with my parents and went on boat cruises and just went around the world and watched my parents sing. So it's always been a part of my life. But for me, personally, I feel like it didn't start for me until I became a teenager, when I started writing poetry. And, the older I got, the more I started to, wonder if I could start incorporating my poetry into music. And the last straw was when I had that, 5 to 7 month hiatus from WWE when I was home. And, I figured, why not start on something that I've always had an interest in other than wrestling, and that was music.
I think that's great, because I think the other thing too is I think a lot of people kind of downplay gospel music, when a lot of these gospel singers have better talent than some of these popularized artists, and it's just because it's not what you would call popular. A lot of people don't respect it. A lot of people don't see it on the same level, but some of those talented vocalists are way better than your Beyonce or Mariah Carey. And that's kind of crazy to think about it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's just a different message, man. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I completely respect that. So with you saying that about, having that time off to record that music, how do you feel it will transition? Because let's face it, you're one of the best wrestlers in the world, and now you're jumping into something that, is a little bit different. Even though you've been putting out, in my opinion, great songs, you know what I'm saying? So how do you have that same motivation that you have to be the best wrestler now into being the best artist?
Yeah, I think it goes hand in hand just because, the type of person that I am, how I've uh, you know, been taught as a young kid, by my parents and, just my work ethic, anything that I do, I want to be the best at it. And, I don't like wasting my time on anything that I don't feel like, will, uh, benefit me in some capacity, whether that was, personally within my career. Like
Mm-hmm.
I feel a sense of confidence, just in anything. Like I said, not even just with music or with wrestling, but just anything that I do, just because that's how I was raised. That's how I grew up, was to, put everything into what you're doing. So yeah, I think it goes hand in hand.
And that's awesome answer for real. Especially because, and it's going to sound weird, but your age, you know what I'm saying? You sound like you know exactly what you need to do, and the transition between, okay, I'm the best wrestler and right now I'm not wrestling. Here's music. I'm going to go, hard on this one. And I think that's like super amazing, because sometimes, people do things half-heartedly. It's just like, oh, well, I've got the popularity. Let me transition into this and I'm going to do it barely. But it seems like you've jumped in, feet first, ready to go.
Yeah, definitely. I'm ready. I've been ready since I was so young, man. And I just want to conquer the world in any avenue, in any way that I can. So yeah, whether that's wrestling, whether that's music,
Mm-hmm.
if I, finding another passion, I love like sporadically cooking at night for whatever reason. So maybe I'll be a chef one day. So who knows?
That sounds like me and my wife, man, especially like late night when, the kids are asleep and we're watching like, horror movies, because that's usually when we can watch them, because our kids are kind of not into that
Yeah.
kind of thing. Yeah, we're in the kitchen. It's like, oh, what are you eating? Oh, I'm eating that, kind of deal. But in talking about, making the music and having time to make the music, what is your creative process like? Are you looking for beats? Are you getting beats from producers? How's that?
Yeah. At first, it was messy. It was really messy. I was searching for beats on like YouTube and leasing them and stuff like that. And
Mm-hmm.
after a while, it just, the money started adding up from just constantly like leasing beats, and that wasn't financially the best thing for me. And then I started to um, find hurdles where I didn't like a particular track, or I didn't think that my sound would fit. So I started reaching out to like some producers and working with them, like uh, you know hands on. And I just recently found a producer that I really like, and he's out of LA, and he's a young kid. He's about 20 years old,
Mm-hmm.
21 years old, and super talented dude. So yeah, it took a while, but I finally have somebody that I think complements my style a lot.
I think that's one of those things that people forget as an artist. And I'm going to use this analogy, much like in a wrestling ring, the ref needs to help you get through the match. You need a
Yeah,
producer to help you get through the song and kind of see things that you didn't see, because you're so closely related to the song. And the producer is hearing how you're sounding, hearing how this track sounds. They see something you don't see and kind of can assist you from there.
yeah, definitely.
I think that's one of the amazing things. So with that being said, and I recently, read an interview where you talked about, the recording process was like musical therapy for you.
Yeah.
And, you have stated before, mental health issues. How did this recording process help you get through, one, being 6 months off from wrestling, and two, just not letting yourself want to be in that mindset?
Yeah, I feel like it's helped me so much, man. Without me even really realizing it until people ask me that question, that you're asking. It's like, it is so therapeutic for me because, I'm writing down my thoughts. A lot of people that deal with mental health, issues, or whether that's depression or anxiety or PTSD or whatever the case may be. I feel like they feel like all of the thoughts are just trapped in their head and they can't get them out. Uh, I think for me, being able to, take those thoughts, put them down on a piece of paper, and then put it out into the world, almost like I'm pushing it out of my life. I think that just feels really good to me, and that's why I think that I'm gonna be somewhat successful in the music industry, because I've been through so much at such a young age, and I have so many thoughts in my head that I want to put down and release to the world. So yeah, it's helped me out tremendously.
And I think that's awesome, because you in turn are going to help some people you may not even realize you're helping out, because you're putting that, someone feels exactly how you feel. And I think especially now with what's going on in the world, we need that, man. We really need that. We need to hear somebody who feels just like we feel on a platform we all can relate with. You know what I'm saying?
Most definitely.
So in that being said, and we're talking about, your new record that's coming out on Monday, Ever After, available on all streaming platforms. Better get that.
Sure.
Okay. Your producer you were talking about, is it mainly just him on the whole record, or who helped you kind of put the record together?
So actually, this album is a combination of a lot of different producers.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't until recently, before or after I recorded all of these songs, when I found this producer. So he's on some future, tracks and projects that I have going on. But as far as right now, this album is a combination of all different like producers that I've worked with, or songs that I've recorded in the past that I'm just ready to kind of like release and push out. So yeah, the producer that I'm working with now isn't even on any of the songs that I'm doing now. I think he's on 2 tracks that I recently put out, both with Marlon Ponce as a feature, On My Own and Mask Off. He did those 2.
I really, speaking of Mask Off, I actually was wanting to ask you about that, because it's a really good track. And I love the feature between you both. There's a good vibe there. And I will say that's something I like about your music in general. There's a vibe there, man. It's not too in your face, but it's very relaxed. It's very chill. Last night when I was at the house, just chilling with my wife, we're drinking and we're just listening to music. Like, yeah, man, this is it right here. Like just a good vibe. And speaking with you doing collaborations, because it doesn't appear that you have a lot, what are some artists you would like to work with?
Man, I feel like I've met so many cool people over the last few years, being with the WWE and having that platform of being on television. I've just met with so many different artists, that are mainstream. I would love to work with, I've been, this is a odd one, that nobody would expect, but Jason David Frank's daughter, Jenna Frank. People who might not know who that is the OG
Green Ranger. Yes.
Yeah, his daughter just started, recently doing music, and she's pretty dope. I like her sound. So yeah, I would love to hop on a track with her. I'm obviously like close with Wale, another DMV native. So I would love to, do something with him. Sway Lee, I love Sway Lee's sound and his style is cool. I said this the other day, but I would love to do a song with Taylor Swift.
Hey man, we live in an interesting age, and collaborations are everything, man, and it could definitely appeal to everybody. I think you could do it, man. You know what I'm saying?
There's I can literally go on and so many dope artists out there, but yeah.
No, man, that's amazing, and I love that. And you also got to love the fact that, even with you not having the ability to wrestle right now, you still have connections with people you can open yourself up to, even some interesting collaborations. Hell, the song that you have on the 1111 EP, Carved for Blood, which I was not expecting it to be like that rock riff. And I was like, yo, man, he could do a little rock rap something, you know what I'm saying? Something a little different, you know?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that was cool. And I definitely a little spoiler. I have another song like with that same vibe on the album. So I'm really excited. I'm really excited for it.
Yeah, no, that's going to be awesome because I already like that one. I wasn't expecting it. I thought, you know how you listen to Spotify sometimes and all of a sudden it just starts playing suggested things you like. And I listen to metal as it is. So I was just like, wait, is it done? I didn't realize, you know, the EP might be over or whatever. And I was like, yo, actually, this is interesting because it gives you a different dynamic and it shows that you're not a one lane rapper. You know, you can do multiple faceted things. So with that being said, I'm going to kind of ask you something a bit like, I wouldn't say off the cuff, but like a little different. Okay. So let's say it's a hypothetical situation. A friend posed this to me last night. You're in a WWE locker room. There's a freestyle battle going on. Who's in that circle?
Oh my gosh. Okay.
And better yet, who's competition to you? That's the next question.
Who do I think in the circle? Yeah. Okay. Am I on Raw? Am I on SmackDown? Is it NXT or is it just like a one big WWE?
Yo, it's the illest of illest. Vince McMahon is like, yo, I need the sickest rappers right now.
Okay. So I gotta put Josiah Williams in there.
Okay.
Josiah, sure. Me, of course. Isaiah Swerve Scott. I want to say her name is Brandy Williams. She didn't debut on NXT TV yet, but she's a rapper. The Usos.
Really? Okay.
New Day. Haven't really spoken to him a lot, but I have seen Riddick Moss just cut random freestyles.
Wow, that is one I was not expecting to hear.
Riddick Moss will be in there.
Okay.
I know there's other people. I know that. I guess I haven't heard anything from her. I heard that she's putting out an album or something, but I guess I'll put Sasha Banks in that.
Wow. I mean, when Snoop Dogg's your cousin, why not, right?
Yeah, exactly. I can't think of anybody else, but the real, as far lyrically, Josiah, hands down.
Okay.
Yeah, he's a problem.
I feel like Swerve would probably have like a similar vibe to you where you guys are like real chill, you know, feeling the beat kind of style. Cause I like Swerve's style. He's just, to me, it's something about both of you. You guys carry a different swag about you. There you go. You guys both carry something that's completely different, but it's a confidence that's just like, it's undeniable. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So I feel like there'd be like a chill vibe there, you know?
Gosh. Yeah.
And so, you know, with everything going on crazy in the world and unfortunately everything's kind of slowed down. I don't know if you're like me, you're taking time to reflect on what's the next move for you. So with that being said, when the world comes back to some kind of normalcy or right, are there plans to tour for this record?
I would, man. Yeah, I'm glad that you brought that up because right before this, pandemic started and it hit Florida, pretty hard. I was actually supposed to have my first show. I was advertised for it. I was, I was about to go. It was literally like the day before, and it ended up getting canceled. It was one of Florida's biggest musical festivals, and I was performing on there with an 8-minute set, which would have been pretty cool. But yeah, definitely touring is something that I've like dreamt of, man. I think it's the same feeling that I felt when I was a kid when I wanted to be a WWE wrestler. I think, looking at all of these artists, tour the world and, just seas of crowds and, it's night time outside or it's dark in the arena and that's all you see are like these like flashlights and lighters and stuff. Like that's just what I want. I feel like it just looks so much fun. And yeah, I definitely want to reach that amount of people with my music. So yeah, definitely touring is on my agenda once all of this, comes to a stop or a halt.
Oh man, yeah, I think that would be like, something great to see, man, because there's a lot of people, especially right now, a lot of people who aren't able to do that. And it's just like, I don't know. It kind of sucks. I've got some friends who had some big touring plans and some smaller bands that are just trying to get known, and everybody's kind of like, it's a little sad, man, because you want to see everybody kind of flourish and continue to grow. And sometimes touring, that's how you continue to grow. You get to see what people like, what people don't like, and what fits for you, So I think it's kind of a sad opportunity right now. One, we're dealing with the fact that, there's not as much wrestling as there was going on. Because, I mean, let's face it, before this, wrestling was just a giant bubble that once again was about to bust open with so many opportunities for so many different people. It's the same thing with music. I felt like music is on that climb, and now we're all having to kind of pull the reins on that because of what's going on in the world.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely.
Yeah, it's kind of a sad thing. So, your 1111 EP, as I understand it, has kind of a meaning behind the title. What's the meaning behind the Ever After?
Yeah. So this is a concept album.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't plan for it to be that, once I initially started, recording songs and stuff like that. I knew that I wanted to put out an album, at the beginning of next year or mid of next year. But I didn't know what exactly it was going to be about. And then over time, I recently, noticed that it was a similar theme and a similar topic with all the songs that I was writing. So, yeah, this is a concept album. There's going to be a story to follow, and I'm really excited about it. I think the entire theme or meaning behind Ever After, for me, is vulnerability.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to focus on vulnerability with this album because I've had stories put out about me in the past of, either being like too arrogant or not being able to be approachable and stuff like that. So I figured that I would cover a topic in my life that I felt like, molded me as a human being. Being 25 years old with a wife and 2 kids, obviously I've gone through some pretty crazy like relationships and,
Mm-hmm.
time, like, stuff like that. So I thought to myself, like, how much more vulnerable could I be
Mm-hmm.
than, relationships, something that not a lot of people like sharing with the public.
Mm-hmm.
People keeping that stuff to themselves. So I felt like sharing different stories about my love life would be really relatable, and it would show a much more vulnerable state and vulnerable side of me, a layer that nobody has really seen.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, Ever After is kind of like where I ended up in my life now.
No, and that's like, once again, that's awesome, because once again, it's something that some people don't want to talk about, and these are those issues that you as an artist can tackle because it's something we don't want to confront about ourselves. And I think that's like great. Once again, you blow my mind with how you think. And once again, it's almost I don't think people realize, being 25 years old with the mindset that you have, that confidence can sometimes be related to as arrogance or, disrespect in a way. And, we read stuff online, but what do we really know about you as a person? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, sure.
And I think that's one of those things where I think people just, need to sit back, look at the art and appreciate it for what it is you being honest, you being open, and, I don't know, man. Just certain things I think about when I think about people, man, because everybody, based on appearance and based on look or based on what you think you hear somebody, you know, what's that phrase Bruce Pritchard uses? Tell a friend, tell a wrestler, tell a whatever. And by the time it gets to the end, it's a mush of what it actually was supposed to be, you know? So I guess my next question is how do you deal with, like the criticism of certain things people do say about you? You know, I see you putting out the music. You know, how do you, as yourself, try to push past the bullshit? Let's be honest, like, because it's a lot of bullshit, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of bullshit in the world, and most of that, most of that bullshit comes from the world of, professional wrestling, which is so unfortunate, man.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like professional wrestling should be one of the most positive things in the world, but for some reason, people find a way to bring some kind of negativity out of it, and I just don't understand. But
because we can't have nothing fun.
I know.
We can't have nothing that's fun, man. Somebody's got to ruin it.
It kills me, man. It truly hurts my heart, dude. But I feel like I just have to, I just got to be strong for not even just myself, but for my boys, for my wife, my family. I got 4 sisters. I got a lot of people that look up to me and stuff like that. So, I try not to let that stuff fold me. It definitely is hard. I don't try to portray like I'm invincible or I have no emotions and stuff like that, because I deal with like I mentioned before, I'm a huge advocate for mental health awareness because I've dealt with and still deal with depression, PTSD, anxiety, stuff like that, and I just got to keep moving forward, for myself, for my family. I get why people act the way that they do and say the things that they say because, they only see and hear. Well, first, they only see what, one, you put out, 2, what, the company or WWE wants you to see. I feel like I've been portrayed on television for a long period of time, from my 205 days all the way to the end of my Raw career. And within that time, I've accumulated so many different fans and all around the world, but they've only seen me in that space of the time as just this asshole on TV.
So, but yeah, like you were saying, people have only seen you within the confines of the character in WWE, nothing like what you've done in Ring of Honor, what you've done in CZW or other companies.
Yeah. So they only see me. They've only seen me as this like asshole for the past like almost 2 years straight. So like I get it. Like I understand why they say the things that they say, like on social media, and they're only hearing what other people are saying. I tend not to speak out on issues so much. I think I only did it like one time when people were just pounding me with like false information, and I just had to clear my name. But that's I don't blame them. But like I said, I just gotta keep moving forward. I get why people act that way, and I try to understand that okay, they're acting this way because they've seen me act like this way, but I know who I am. So let me, understand that, retrack, and, just continue to focus on my main goal.
And this is a funny thing I find about professional wrestling is that so many times people don't want to be treated like they're stupid, but also at the same time hold the character that someone plays against them, as opposed to just accepting the fact that this was the role that you were given, this is what you were dictated to do, and it's your job to go out there and piss everyone off. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Exactly.
And I don't know, it just kind of blows my mind that wrestling fans are just like, well, he's a jerk or whatever, but it's just like, this is what he was told to do. This is how he was supposed to do it. And if you think he's a jerk, he did his damn job.
Yeah.
That's for real. So we're coming close to the end to this, man. And like I said, I think that what you're doing in music definitely is going to help you, especially get through times like this as well. What do you say to somebody who right now is, on the fence about going forward after life after this, man? Because, I have a child who is very young, who has mental health issues. What do you say to someone in keeping positivity for themselves and making sure that in this time when everybody's separated, to keep motivated, keep going forward?
There's a quote that comes to mind when I think about times like this, and it's a very popular quote, but it's tough times don't last, but tough people do.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like this situation that we're in, that the world is in right now, is not permanent. It's only temporary. And although it feels like it's been an eternity since all this stuff has happened, it's only been like a few months now, and things are eventually gonna die down. Things are eventually gonna progress, and we're gonna find out how we can manage all of this, what's going on. So yeah, it's just a minor setback for a greater comeback. I feel like this whole situation might suck, but it's teaching people so many great things. It's allowing people to communicate with strangers that we would never talk to. It's allowing us to get like build social skills. It's allowing us to be creative and not be lazy and get off our ass and really go hard for something that we love and that we want to do. And I think that is the beauty in this entire situation. It's just it's bettering us as human beings. And once the situation comes to a halt or dies down a little bit and we can manage it, then we can take all of those skills that we've learned in this situation and apply it to the life after this pandemic. So I think just keep pushing forward. Take what you've learned through this entire process and apply it to the real world once it gets back to somewhat normality.
And that's an awesome perspective, for real. So my last question, because I was told if I didn't ask this question, I'd probably catch some heat for it. Okay. So I've heard that, you don't feel there's a lot much more time left for you in the wrestling industry. So it's kind of like a two-parter question. One, do you feel like music could be that next step for you in transitioning out of wrestling, as well as let's say this was your last few years as a wrestler? What are some things you'd like to do before your wrestling career is over?
See, that's a tricky question because obviously, there's a lot of things that I haven't done, and there's so many new things and avenues that I could go down. Ever since I started wrestling back in, what was this, like 2014. So much that has happened since then, but I've just stayed on this, get to WWE path. But yeah, like I haven't been to TNA. I haven't been to, Lucha Underground isn't a thing anymore, but I haven't done that. I haven't been in New Japan. I haven't, obviously I haven't been to AEW. Like there's so many things that I just haven't done. But I think, for me, that tweet that I put out was a real thought. It was a real thing. It was, me coming to the realization that this isn't fulfilling me the way that I need to be, fulfilled in life. There's so much unnecessary drama. There's so much frustration. There's so much things that I can't have in my control. And I guess I'm just speaking on WWE because, you have no control there. You just don't. It's like I'm happy right now. I've never been as happy as I am right now, with doing my music, focusing on the things that I want to focus on or that I've always wanted to focus on. Things like my music, things like my family, things like myself. I've put so much time and energy into the WWE for the past 3 years. And it's just, although there were some good times, there were some bad times too. And some of those bad times were traumatizing to me. And it's like, why go back to that when I'm happy right now and I'm able to have control over things that I've always wanted to have control over? So I think it's going to take, that statement was real. I think it's going to take a lot. It's going to take a lot for me to consider, stepping back into that space, even just financially. But, it's just going to take a lot. So yes, there are things that I would have loved to do more in wrestling, but I'm asking myself the question, is it worth it? Is it worth putting my mental and emotional health, at risk for being, and I hate to use this word, but for being like a mark for wrestling. Like I have other people to think about in this situation. So
you have perspective, man. And I think that's an awesome thing when you can sit back and look at something, and just because you're the best at it doesn't mean it's going to be good for you. It's going to be, healthy for you. And I think that's awesome that you're finding other avenues to do. But I just want to say thank you, man, for coming on this show, man. I appreciate it. Big fan. And, so very, very excited to see you in another avenue, in another creative space doing what you're doing. So real quick before I get off, because we got to plug these social medias, man. People got to know where to find you, Leo, okay? So you guys can find him at musicbyleo.com. You can find him on Instagram at RushLeoRush and Music by Leo. And you can find him on TikTok too, man. That's a new thing. It's popping. Hey, it's Leo, man. So thank you so much, Leo Rush, for being on my show, man. God bless you, brother, and keep going, man.
Thank you. I appreciate you so much.
All right, man. Thanks.